If you started a business again now in your current setting, would you start a gym as well?
I mean, I would simply because I love it so much. But I don't know if it would be exactly like this. Not that I don't like what this is. Because you have to understand, like, I think for me, I started something. I think most people start a business. A huge part of it is passion. Like, you're so passionate about what you want to do. So at that time, I simply started a gym that I thought I would want to go to at that time. Early 20s, late teens. That's my vision. I'm like 36 now, and I might value certain things more, I might value that I want to get this done in 45 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but if I thought about it, it will probably still be something to do with this industry because I love it so much. And with an existing business, it's pretty hard, especially when you've been around for 10 years, it's pretty hard just to imagine me tomorrow and be like, guys, we're not doing this anymore. We're doing classes now.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's just too hard of a shift.
We're doing Pilates.
Yeah, just randomly.
A huge Pilates.
Yeah, canning all of this. So that's a bit hard to do. But if I had a fresh canvas, I'd probably have a good think about like, what's ringing? Like, even if it doesn't make the most money, like what wouldn't I mind doing if I didn't make any money from it? And because I'm sure like I'll make money from it.
Got you, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd still be the gym. Still be the gym space.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's perfect, even after 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the same with me. I think now when I was when the age that you started, like 22, 20, the differences of like how I would want to train now is a lot different, even like after 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Like I'm in the same ballpark where it's like 1 hour max in the gym. I just want to get in and like maximize and get out. Whereas back in the day, like I'd be more than happy to spend like 3.5 hours there, basically. Yeah. Like I'd go in and I'd be like chatting to everyone and taking adequate rest between sets and all this stuff. But yeah, I think when you get a bit older, it's just like I just want to get in and hit it and then get out, basically, a lot of the time.
Yeah, people value different stuff. So hence why I think this is where people go to the gym that suits them,
Yep.
So when you have a gym culture that's built around like a senior audience, you probably won't find too many 20, 30-year-old powerlifters that's just into it. So yeah, but yeah, training day is built on the culture of like 90%, maybe 85% of our members are between like 18 to 35. And I'm at the edge of that age group now.
Okay, yeah.
So
have you seen much change over like when you started going to the gym to now? Has much changed in the sense of like major innovation?
Yeah, probably two major shifts, I'd say. Because when I first started, the 24-hour gym thing was already happening.
Yeah.
I think that was a big one.
But it was really unique. Like the gyms that had the 24-hour, it was like, oh wow, they're 24-hour.
Yeah, but that sort of, I think it was just happening.
Yeah.
It happened just when I started in the industry. Maybe a little bit after, so I wouldn't count that.
Yeah.
But two other major ones was when the barbell culture came in.
Like oh yeah, right.
Maybe 20, CrossFit had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
2012 to 2016, where everyone stopped using treadmills and everyone was like, if you were using treadmills, you were kind of like way old fashioned. Like everyone was lifting, but me, myself included, I was like, I better learn it. That's how I got into weightlifting, lifting barbells. And then the next shift would be like the small boutique stuff, whether it be, you thought it was like, I think F45 had a good, big reason for it, where you pay, well, no, CrossFit also did, whether you pay like 50, 60, like really high price range, but for less facility, like people don't get it. It's like, why would you pay for this?
Yeah.
This is where people realize, oh, we go to a place for culture, it's for the culture, for the community. So now it's not just like classes. People pay that kind of money for small tribes. Whether it be a class gym, PT gym, or like a recovery space, people pay that kind of price. So I think I've seen two since then.
And then for the F45s, like they're not paying for a gym per se, but they're paying for like a system, so to speak. It's like, okay, the workout's already mapped out for me. I just rock up at 6 p.m. and I'm out of there at 6:45 and I've done like a pretty hectic workout.
I also think it's a familiarity. Yeah. Also that consistency of, like you said, if you're 35 and you have 45 minutes.
Yeah, you just want to get in.
And then you want to be the inconsistent. I want to be with the same people, just say hello and then off I go.
Yeah.
But yeah, those people probably aren't so heavy into the gym culture.
Yeah.
Like they're more in with their community.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
And what about in the future? Are you able to forecast like with everything that's like kind of happened technologically wise and, you know, COVID hit and then everyone thinks people are just going to be working out from home and the gym space is going to take a big hit. But then you come out and they're more valuable than ever. Like, where do we go from here?
I'll say this, like, I don't really care. It's not really like a trade secret because I think it's only in the execution. But for us, for training day, we have to sort of get into like, it's a community business, right? So I was on my business group chat and one guy has like a massive coffee business. And he says today, if I was to start a cafe or any business to do with coffee, it wouldn't be with coffee. It would be with a space of a community where my products are being used, right? So I think you have to look at the gym industry or kind of any thing like a social run club.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
You know, your gym equipment. Okay. Oh, one thing that I spotted a huge difference in, now that you say the difference, right, was when I first started the gym business, 2012, maybe 2010s when I was getting into it, people went to different gyms for different equipment.
Really?
Like 100%. Wow. If you had like hammer strength equipment, you went there for that.
Okay, yeah.
Nowadays, I don't know one person. Oh, look, there are very few would come to our gym for a certain piece of equipment. And I know this because for our recent gym, we kitted out with like, say, a bunch of hammer strength stuff, thinking that a lot of people come here just for this. People are more so pleased that you have it. Not that many people are like, I'm coming here just for that.
Yeah, okay.
So I've seen like that. But in the beginning though, when we had, you know, weightlifting platforms, people would come just to lift on there.
Yeah.
But now it's like, because it's like so broadly known now, like if you have a piece of equipment, chances are like another company will do it for half the price in like a year. And somebody else will have it. So it's never really that unique anymore. Like it's like Apple, you know, Samsung, Google.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Your product is never you're not going to be unique for more than like a year.
Okay, right, yeah.
So I did see that diminish.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So where do you find the point of differentiation then? It's in the community, it's in the brand.
I genuinely think if you don't have an objective one anymore. It's just like, what's the difference between an Apple phone and a Samsung?
Yeah.
Objectively, it's very hard to say. Like, oh, it's quicker. The screen touch response is better, but until the next generation. So I think what's unique about the friends that you're friends with? It's them, it's their flaws, it's their positive attributes. I think goes the same with the community or the brand. The brand, I just see it's the personality of the people that go into it. So I think that's the ultimate edge that you have.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Where do you put most of the eggs then, if that's the discussion? And it's like, well, the equipment's not that important, right? We tick the box of equipment and then where does the focus go?
I think be really clear with what you're not. Like for us, we are not the type of gym if you want to have that old school macho intimidating culture. That's and I'm not saying this negative. There is a place for that. But for us, our brand is always centered around the balance of being strong and vulnerable at the times, the relatability at the same time.
Yep.
So that's me as a personality. So what we find is people come to us if they have a choice that they can come to us, given that they live close enough. They would prefer to associate themselves with a brand that suits their identity well. It's almost like driving a certain car. You know, if I don't want to drive this car because somebody else I don't like drives it.
Right.
I don't want to go to the gym because these people go to this gym. I want to associate myself with these people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Alpha Land maybe. Like I wear
the Alpha League clothing.
Alpha League clothing. Yeah.
Got you. Yeah. Yeah. So you're joining a sense of identity then, to some degree. How do you foster that? How do you I guess you can't necessarily decide exactly what the community is going to look like because you can't, choose every individual member that joins. It's not like a selection process. But then how do you try and foster the community where you're now in a space where this is like what I would like the identity to look like?
You're right. Isn't no one single big action, right?
Yeah.
But there's like so many little things. Saying that you can't choose members, I think you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So across our gyms last week, I don't know why we're going on this rampage, but the managers fired 5 or odd members in the past week.
Right. Damn.
Yeah, just they're not suitable for the like. I think customers have to understand nowadays that customer is no longer king in this case. So the business have a say on who they want to take in, because for us to serve the customers we want, especially for the gym industry, our customers are a part of the product that we provide. So like an example that one of our managers gave yesterday was he had to. I mean, it was a mutual, and we refund him the money. You know, the person came in. It was not bad, but was very aggressive, very loud and obnoxious, and a piece of equipment was in a classroom that was running. It was inconvenient for him, sure.
Yep.
But he marched in there without obnoxiousness and just took it out and made everyone feel uncomfortable.
Right, yeah.
And this is not the first instance that happened. And it was just a conversation. Hey, this is probably not the gym for you. And the guy acknowledged, it's like, you know what? Yeah, if this is the culture, then it's not for me. So we said, thank you very much for trying us. Here's your money back. Sorry you didn't enjoy this.
Yep.
Go somewhere else. And there are probably cultures that are more suitable to that, you know?
Yeah, right, yeah.
So I think, like, what do you do? Because if you don't then fire them, you will lose 5 other members. And it was actually one other member that wanted to quit the gym because of this particular person.
Right, yeah.
And then they were so happy. They're like, okay, now I'm staying.
Got you,
So
okay.
I wouldn't say you can pick every member.
Yeah,
you don't have, like, we're still a business. But the leverage that, like, back then that you think you had I think is a lot less now as a customer.
Okay, yep. And then maybe over time, like it evens out to some degree. Like you're not necessarily saying, hey, this isn't the gym for you. Maybe you should try somewhere else. Here's your money back. But instead, they're just like deciding that themselves.
Yeah.
And they're going, all right, well, you know what? I've been here for a couple of weeks and it just hasn't been for me. Like good self-awareness. And now they're at a different gym. But the people who enjoyed it, they're sticking around and they're staying.
That's kind of it. That's what I mean by like the people that come here for you, they decided not to go to another gym for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does mean like leadership and management always have to go by their values and they want to see. So if something happens in front of their face, like people won't know the details of everything, but they want to see you act in a way that resonates with their values.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So if a staff member is doing something that isn't right, they would want you to take action. That's because they are saying, this is my tribe. This is a brand that represents me.
Yeah.
So I don't know, what do you call that? That's really, you can't get away with just hiding behind this professional face and being, now you got to be a lot more transparent because your culture kind of comes out in everything you do.
For sure, yeah. It seems counterintuitive to a business practice, trying to say, go somewhere else. But at some stage, you got to have to do it because it's like, if your customers facing things like cafes and all that, a lot of problematic customers and the staff for one will be like pulling their hair out because they're driving them insane. And instead of that, it's like, what is the cost benefit really of that?
I think it's the evolution from the industrial age where people valued machines more than people.
Right, yeah.
And back then, equipment were more valuable than people. And people that build industries had the most power.
Yep.
People were just robots. But now we actually have robots. So what's unique about people is our personality, the uniqueness, imperfections, the stuff that AI can't do, especially the stuff that, I mean, you just said during COVID, people could train at home.
Yeah. Right,
they chose not to train at home. So we already know here now, it's proven that it's not just convenience.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So then it's already subjective. So you kind of have to, I think for the gym is definitely a bit on the extreme end of this. I do think if you go and buy a product and stuff like that, it's probably not as bad as what I'm saying. But yeah, we really have to be a lot more sensitive with that culture now than we did before.
Do you think other gyms in the industry approach it like this and fully understand that?
No, I don't think I think most people don't truly understand it, but I think they subconsciously carry it out anyways to their own personality and the team that they have. They might just, because your culture is there, whether you like it or not, they might just not be aware of that they're actually doing it.
But what about it, percentage-wise, if I was to ask each individual, even if it's a franchise or, a more small gym with multiple locations, and I asked the person who's kind of leading the culture, like, what do you think the most important thing about the gym is? Do you think a lot of the people would say equipment or the facility, or would they focus on these things like community and, intangible things that you can't necessarily put a button on?
I think that shifted a lot in the past 5 years. I think 5 years ago, people might still say, nah, the facilities are better, like the equipment's better here. Oh man, but like today, I'd say like our customers, 60 to 70% would say like the culture is like the people is everything. I actually reckon I just had a phone call with a friend of mine who was in Queensland, last night, and I asked him, and I made a comment like, for us, like, the people is everything, and even he was like, he goes to like big box gym, he's like, yeah, man, like that's all it is, like community is everything. I was like, really, you're saying that? Because he was the person that used to say equipment is everything.
Right. Yeah.
So
Crazy.
I think there has been a shift.
Yeah, times change. What about barriers to entry for a gym? What do they look like right now?
I think the biggest thing, what has always been, is probably money.
Yeah, capital.
Like capital.
Right,
In our industry. Although that vary a lot, like I made my video saying it costs like $2 million to open a gym. Or it cost $2 million for us to open our last gym. I know people that spent $8 million on their last gym.
Crazy, yeah.
But when I first started, I started with like 30 grand, So yeah, that goes on to the point. Like, why will people come to my gym at 30 grand when there are gyms that's 8 million? So clearly it's not all equipment back to that point. But my thing is like you'd have to compromise. Like 30 grand was, I had like nothing. So yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to do anything for less than that. And I had a little bit of something to begin with. And that took like 4 years for me to make enough money to then, that was like a slow burn.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing I would probably say is capital.
Is it capital? Yeah. So workarounds around capital then, what are other avenues? Because I know a lot of people can't just have that certain amount of funds to invest into it. And it's obviously very risky when they're starting off. What are other avenues that they can undertake?
Honestly, like I don't know why other gym owners or any business owners don't do more of what I'm doing. It's just to offer equity for people that work for you. I think one of the advantages in our industry is not that hard to find people that are passionate about what they do. Like if you were to do a cleaning business, good luck with that. You're very hard to find people that are just passionate about cleaning. They're all doing it because like, oh, it's a job that I'll do while I have to. But like our gym, do you know how many people do this for free? Like you just train people and talk to people about fitness and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're so passionate and they're sacrificing their career to think that, oh, I'll choose passion over my career. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be both. Because that helps them remove that barrier of give them some sweat equity or give them, work for me for 3 years, hit certain targets and you get 5%, make them do a 3-year vesting thingy. And for you solve your problem of being able to scale and having people care because people are such a big thing. Your second and third gym will probably fail because you're not there. So in this case, if they're aligned with your vision so much, that's as close to getting a second U as possible. So I don't know why business owners don't do more of this. I'm actually shocked. I want business owners aren't doing more of this. I've been told, oh, maybe wait, like you're generous. I think most business owners are quite generous. I don't know why people don't. I think it's because they're afraid to give out or they don't think is a possibility. That's what I don't understand. I think it's like a no-brainer.
Right, yeah.
Or maybe because there's not a lot of motivation to grow because they're already deep in their 40s and 50s. But yeah, if you're young and you have the ability to, I think, yeah, man, like solve their problem of capital, let them do like an IOU sort of thing and then let them pay you back.
Got you, right.
So yeah, as a young person, I will see if I could partner up, find some experience, find a small business, see if you can partner up with them.
Yeah, okay. So that's just businesses in general, not just the gym space.
Yeah, if you work at like a huge corporate, you might not be able to.
Yeah.
But I think it's better to work for a small business anyways and then just have a conversation with the boss. That's how I will start.
Because if you look at it like F45, sorry, Anytime Fitness, heaps of locations, like you're going to have to buy into a franchise. Like there's no way you can just adopt equity in some way.
True, yeah.
But so yeah, you kind of got to find that avenue or that opportunities where the gyms are like kind of in their infancy stages to some degree.
You still can. So you won't be able to buy into partnership in Anytime Fitness. But let's just say that you work for Anytime Fitness and your boss is the franchisee of that business, right? Yep. He might want to do more than one. And so you say, hey, boss, why don't you pay for me? That's what I would do as a boss. Like, I'll pay for you. Can you run that for me? I'll give you a small equity. Or you invest 50 grand, but you just pay me back later. Like, pay me back 10 grand a year.
Okay, yeah.
I would do that 100%. And I'll fund it for you knowing that use each, he's got capital, so use his capital. You've got the sweat, so you put in that. I just think it's partnership.
Yeah, got ya. And then there's those things like Revo, right, which got hella in outside investments. Like, is that a possibility from something that's like brand new into a gym? Can you go and get a bank loan, or can you find some private equity somewhere?
Now you can get a bank loan. Anything more than $1 million is pretty freaking hard if you don't have some sort of serious asset to back yourself.
Right, yeah.
Generally speaking, this is just a bit of a thing on finances. You can do asset finance, which means that your equipment can be financed. And generally speaking, if you have a good income, they'll give it to you. But that's just for the value of the equipment. And then you have to find, what else are you going to finance? The fit out and the actual business and the cash flow, that's hard. You have to then give your business plan to the bank, and that's a case by case. So for existing business trying to expand, I think so. You might, $500,000 might be enough for you to do what you want to do, along with some of your own retained cash. But a brand new business, that's going to be hard. Who's going to back you? Like, how are they going to get reassurance?
Proof in the pudding, yeah.
Yeah, how are you going to pay them back? So, and investors, I think you also do have some sort of you have to pitch something, an idea. So you likely have to have an existing business. It's different. So when you go through that investment route, you're choosing scale over control. That's also a bit different. And they're no longer, so the goal there, like for the first initial years, isn't to make 50 profitable gyms anymore. Like, I can guarantee you, like, these gyms are trying to scale in the beginning. All their gyms, if not majority of the gyms, aren't making much money, if any money at all. So they're trying to scale and the business is worth more value as they scale. So if you're an investor, you just think about your investment being worth more, whether that be is more profitable or whether that be the scale gets larger. You don't really care. So if the business is worth more, you're happy as an investor. So it doesn't mean that every one gym isn't making more money. But when you're doing it like I am, like slowly, like one at a time, we actually have to, that's what bootstrapping means. So hard. You have to count on the profit that you make from each site to then invest into the next. That's ridiculously hard. But the return on that is, it's yours. You have control. I can control the culture. The people work for it like it's theirs because it is. So that's the choose your evil kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. You hear about that a lot when businesses relinquish a little bit of that control to, board of director type of things where, now they're not really making the decisions, and, the suits, they call them suits, right? They come along and then they start calling the shots basically. And then all of a sudden the business that you loved and was able to kind of manufacture and develop is now something totally different. And that would, steal away a little bit of that passion, a little bit of that investment from your own physical self into it.
A prime example of that might be Gold's Gym, right? In our industry.
Yeah, right.
I went to the Venice one.
Yeah.
How cool, the original Mecca.
Yeah.
But now Gold's Gym is a franchise brand.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
So I didn't know they franchised.
It's actually like Anytime Fitness. It's
really
like small, yeah.
How many are there around?
Quite a bit. I don't think it's Australia yet, but it's in America. It's quite a bit.
Just America, yeah.
Yeah, but that Venice side is kind of weird. You don't even think about it as Goals anymore. It's just his own thing.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, you're 100% right in saying that. So I think that's the rise of what we call it, these like the lifestyle business. I mean, every part of my ego, like every business person with an ego, is like, I want to expand, I want to scale. But I'm a sucker for, sentimental stuff as well. I'm just like, but man, like I'm young. I really want to see this turn out how I want it to be like this.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't know, man. Like somebody might have 50 gyms and they may have 45 of them that's losing money. So if you look at me being positive, at least all of mine not only are making money, is making money in the way that I would want it to. So each to their own. So you sacrifice speed for a solid foundation. I'm not saying I will never like scale and do that. I'm using my advantage as still being reasonably young in this game of business. So I want the foundation to just be a bit stronger, so that if we do that, it's a bit more solid. So I might consider it in a couple years' time. But it's kind of like you always like is it Guzman Gomez? Yeah. So that's a franchise, I believe. That's a franchise. But then there are like other franchises, like all these random burger joints.
Yeah.
They're not the same, right?
No.
So you there are better ways that you can do that.
Even looking at Guzman compared to like McDonald's, at least here in Australia, it's chalk and cheese the way they operate and how clean they are, and like the when you go into a Guzman compared to a McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how little comparative like locations there are in a Guzman to like a McDonald's or a Subway or anything like this.
Yeah.
Yet their profitability is like off the charts.
Yeah, obviously I've spoken to franchise consultants. I know this because the example they always give is Guzman.
Right. Yep.
They always say that, hey, for example, they will say, oh, Subways or whatever, like whatever fast food franchise, their profit margin maybe like 6% or something. But a Guzman, they make a lot of profit. It always comes down to Guzman. They grow slowly, but they make a lot of profit. And I remember, okay, so that's the method, but there are still slight differences.
Tricky to do. I don't know when they were started. It was at 2000. It must have been like a while ago, no? Because I only really started picking them up maybe 8 or so years ago.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
Early
I didn't even
2010s.
know this was it. Because there's one in the city, Melbourne City. And I remember seeing it and going, oh, Guzman. I didn't even know how to say it. I was like, Guzman Y Gomez. I was like, what the hell? And then I tried it. I was like, this is amazing. This is great. And I didn't even know it was a franchise. I thought it was like a standalone location.
It was less than 10 years ago.
Yeah. So they've had a really steady kind of fast growth in some degree.
So I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I'm sure they still have a lot of sites, but just that brand equity you just talked about?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the thing on like, I'm the founder of the brand. People are it's like, I don't know where who's the founder of McDonald's? I mean, it's McDonald's, but
Ray Kroc.
But he's not the founder of McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right. He was
the McDonald's were.
Yeah. So I don't think so I would prefer that the brand that I imagine it to be, it's still painted in a really special light.
Yep.
And as close as I can get to it, the happier that I'd be, I guess. Yeah.
Fair. A friend of mine he's like recently, maybe for the past 3 years, he kind of realized a way to kind of enter businesses without necessarily needing to be like an expert per se in it or have to like kind of climb the ladder up. And so he finds these businesses, he calls up businesses one by one. Like I reckon he called probably 1,000. And he finds businesses that have like aging owners in the sense of like they're getting into their like 60s, maybe even 70s. They just don't want to do it anymore. So then all of a sudden it's like, oh, let's have a conversation. Let's see, what is it going to take for you to sell this? Because you don't want to be doing it. I'm happy to do it. You want just a little bit of money so, you can put it away and retire and all this. And yeah, so he's entered in a physio clinic over on the other side of the city, and he wants to do that again and again and again and just like scale it up. So I'm wondering, no matter what business kind of you want to get into, that is an option. He goes through like vendor finance. I don't know too much about it, but effectively it's like using the equity of the business against the loan, something like that. And yeah, he's done quite well with it. It's been successful. And his plan is to kind of like find these businesses one by one and just scale it up.
That's the Cody Sanchez model, right? The Main Street business. It's because the boomers now are retiring and they never thought about scaling or selling their business. Now they got no one to sell to. So you go and buy it underpriced and they probably aren't maximizing their profits as much. So you can immediately go in there and make a difference. I think that's more so the game of business. That's business in general. You might have a physio clinic, you might have a dry cleaning place. So like it's definitely a method that's been talked about a lot in recent times.
You would think with an aging population as well, more of these sites would pop up. Maybe not in the gym industry because I don't know. There's small players, right? Oh, there's big players. Sorry, like there's the Anytimes, the Good Lifes, and all this. So the individual locations where they might be owned by like an aging person is probably slim. But in other businesses, like physios, medical clinics, all this type of stuff.
But your friend is going in there as like an external person. I'm just saying, like if you're somebody that walked in that clinic, how do you think the owner would feel if somebody within that clinic asked them? That's why I think there are actually a lot of these businesses out there. If you work for somebody, even better, if you don't, just go and apply for a job there. You might have the conversation in like 3 or 4 months, 6 months. And even better, you have a front row seat on how the business is performing and you know every ins and out of the business.
Right.
And you get to reassure the owner you're in good hands.
Right, yeah.
So I would, if I'm starting out fresh again, like, look, you can never say in hindsight, you always think better in hindsight. But instead of working for like out of uni, I went to big corporate. Man, like I keep thinking about, I went to a job interview at this small company, like smaller company. I keep wondering, not that I wish that, I wonder what would happen if I just worked at that small company and it would have solved all the problems that I had because I felt going in business, I have this severe lack of certainty. No one tells you what to do. I don't have like a support from a family background telling me what to do. Like, fuck, it's like, I'm struggling with that like now still. Like every day, so like uncertain. But I reckon if I went into that following a really good boss, and I'll still be as hardworking, as talented as I am, I would ask the question when time is right. What can I do to have this get me into the strategic plans of the business? Kind of thing. It will be a different journey, but I do wonder. I think it'll be like if people are in a position to do that.
Yeah, well, you look at there's like so much to learn from that in a sense. And number two, like you're getting paid to learn as well. And you're going to learn so much more, like practical skills or just skills that you might take forward as opposed to getting in a big corporate company or, you know, if you're a lawyer or a consultant or something like that. And all of a sudden you're in this huge conglomerate of a business. You're really not learning that much. Like you're doing your job, but nothing else.
Yeah, that's the Jack Ma, you know, the Alibaba sayings, like in your 20s and 30s, find the right boss. You learn all the right passion about running how to do things right, not from a corporation. You might learn the processes and professionalism. You learn these things from a person. Like an example I give was how do you learn this? Again, on the call with my friend yesterday, he said he matured a lot and he was working at this recruitment company. He said, oh man, like I learned so much from my manager. Every time something goes wrong, she sits me down. The first thing she asks is, okay, let's assess where it went wrong. And he was just telling me how much he learned from that one phrase. It sounds so simple, right? But how do you learn that from, that's a person. Like if something goes wrong, how do you think? So I hope that I'm able to provide the same value to like my younger people. Something goes wrong. Oh, the first thing that Wayne does is asks this. You don't really get that working from home. You don't get it like working on a computer. You have to sort of be in an environment with a person to know like something goes wrong. What does he actually do?
Yeah, right.
Does he go step by the window and starts to look at like you want to see exactly what his process is?
Does he post up on the window?
Yeah, does he just stand
introspective?
There? You want to know like how do they do stuff? So I think that's important to learn from someone.
A mentor of some sort, yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll get that from a smaller business for sure.
I think so. From someone that's built it from ground up, they're struggling too. They're thinking like, how do I, not everybody as kids wants to be in business. So how do I scale this?
Yep.
I think you're solving that problem for them.
Yeah, 100%. What about now? You've kind of delved into social media. I think you've posted some other stuff, but mainly as like yourself, like as Wayne. What have you learnt from doing that so far?
The biggest thing I got out of is actually the networking. I think the biggest value, Fraser, I've met so many people through that.
Yeah.
I've gained like maybe 50 followers, but I've met like so many people, valuable conversations.
Yeah.
And some might even like some actual, I had a conversation with a finance company and, I didn't meet them through my content, but because of something I posted, they were like, hey, we need to have a conversation. I can help you with this.
Right. Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, let's have a meeting. And turns out he could actually help me with this.
Yeah. Right.
And when I go into the meeting, the guy already knows everything about my business because I talk so much about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is refreshing. Like, it's a weird feeling. It's just like, they already know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So it was like a really odd feeling. It's like, wow, that was efficient. It's a massive networking tool.
Yeah. Removes the friction.
Yeah. And then I met another owner in another industry who wants to supply some cleaning products to us. I've invited him to be on this podcast. Turns out he was super successful. And then I learned so much from him. And that was all. And he was happy to talk so openly with me, even though it was first meeting, right?
Crazy.
He felt like he's known me for like a week.
Right.
Because of all my content.
Yeah.
And he was talking transparently and giving me all the secret sauce. I'm like, oh, of course, because I talk so openly.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I've gotten so much out of this content like so far.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It's for B2B as well. I think it would be a huge, just kind of eliminate the friction, eliminate the next step in it. And then all of a sudden, these people know, and they go, oh, right, Wayne is X. And then how could we help? Or maybe we could work together. Like that's an awesome thing that can come from it as well. And
the talent, like people that want to, look, we always have people that want to work for us, our industry, like our members are the biggest source of our staff members.
Yep.
But yeah, because of me going, a lot of members see my content, I think it's generated a lot more interest or at least willingness. Oh, it's so cool, I want to work for training there. So then we do have, it kind of like puts us at a good start when we start off a new employee. They already know what is expected of them, the culture and all of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's been helpful.